I just have to record. Yep. Okay. So we are still in chapter 5, and yeah, as you have noticed, there is no Russian translation anymore, which is makes it a little bit faster. So chapter 5, as you know, is about introspection or vigilance. So it is about knowing what is happening in our minds. And yeah, ideally, sort of Buddha is happening in our minds, right? Like, I mean, we can translate this historical birth of Buddha as this awakening, you know, that is happening in our mind, and that is always possible. So his birth or her birth or its birth is possible because we all have that Buddha nature. But at the moment, we just have too many habits and obscurations that make us function differently. Different from being enlightened. So therefore, our aim is to find that Buddha within, and that Buddha, as Shantideva said in the 9th chapter, or that wisdom is of course beyond our normal conceptual, dualistic, fabricated mind. So therefore what we need is to have the wisdom to see that ultimate truth of the nature of our mind. That is sort of the idea here, and for that we need the discipline, because if we don't have discipline, then we just follow our old habits, you know, that have been obscuring us since beginning this time. So that's why discipline is important, and that's why chapter 4 and 5 are talking about this discipline. And we need that, as I said, because we have habits that are like so old, and they are so destructive. And distraction here is the main thing in Buddhism. Khyentse Rinpoche often says, you know, the distraction is the thing that is basically the main problem that we try to solve. And distraction doesn't mean like just I don't know, just watching TV or something, but it just means that we are caught up in something in our mind. That we are caught up in the wish to be praised, or that we are caught up in the fear of being criticized, or that we are caught up in the belief that something is valuable and true, but in reality it is just an illusion, you know. So our habits make us constantly caught up in those things, and that is sort of the distraction. And the antidote to that distraction here that Shantideva is presenting is this vigilance, this introspection or mindfulness. And according to Khyentse Rinpoche, this mindfulness or introspection or vigilance is practiced on all different kind of jhanas in Buddhism and on all different kind of levels. And because the distraction can happen in many different forms, therefore on those different levels, also the solution, the mindfulness or introspection, then takes different shapes, you know. Maybe we just have sitting practice, or we have the Mahayana practice of the 4 mindfulnesses, or we have the tantric rituals that are also a practice of mindfulness and introspection, but in a different fashion or style. Anyway, so here mindfulness is the main technique or method to be able to keep the discipline. And as I said, discipline is not the aim, so it's not about being very like puritanical or very like dogmatic with stuff, but discipline is really the technique or the tool in order to see the ultimate truth, in order that Buddha can be born within our mind, or or can appear within our mind. So that is the whole idea why we are talking about discipline. And then if we look into this, these two chapters that talk about discipline here, then we talked already about chapter 4, where we talked about conscientiousness or carefulness. And chapter 5 here is called introspection or vigilance, which is this Sheshin, this is the observer. And there we, the first this chapter starts that that we want to protect our mind, because we understand that all the harm and all the virtues, they both come from our mind. I don't know if you have seen the quote that the Datas and Tenyu posted for this session here. It is, I forgot the exact saying, but it says something, maybe I have it, here. There is nothing to fear other than the mind. So that is the basic idea here, that that is a quote from this beginning of chapter 5, that we understand that the mind is always what determines if that what we do is good or negative. The mind is the thing sort of that accumulates merit or that accumulates negative karma. And it's the mind that is experiencing the results of those accumulations. And therefore, Shantideva then comes to the understanding, or is guiding us to come to the understanding that therefore we have to watch our own mind. This is all discussed in the first 22 verses of chapter 5. And then the next part, it's verse 23 to 33. There, Shantideva is introducing mindfulness and introspection to really protect our mind, because he's pointing out that if we don't have those, then our actions will be very weak, like a sick person who is very weak and maybe can't even breathe alone or can't go to the bathroom anymore alone. And also, if mindfulness or introspections are weak, then also we can't, as I said in the beginning, we can't really establish or develop or achieve wisdom. And also, if those two are weak, then also we will just follow our habits and we just do what we feel like, and that is quite destructive and destroys also positive karma that we have already accumulated. And therefore, Shantideva is telling us how to practice mindfulness. And then comes the next part here in this 5th chapter, and this is where we are. It's from verse 34 to 96, and here then it's really about mind training by applying or through applying these qualities like mindfulness and introspection. And there we try, and this is where we are in this bigger part. And there either we try to avoid negative actions, or we try to accumulate positive actions, or we really try to benefit others and work for their benefit. This is the big part where we are in. And we are still in the first of these, which is that we try to avoid negative actions, non-virtuous actions, and to prevent those, we apply mindfulness and introspection. Yesterday, actually, I was reading like an old transcript of Tsongtsa Khyentse Rinpoche, where he was teaching in Beer on that part of the chapter, and there he said, actually, like verse 35 until 102 or something, he said there are many archaic, like old Indian methods or ideas that are, or methods or rules or precepts that are not so relevant anymore nowadays. Maybe some are super relevant, but maybe it's up to you to see what is relevant to your life and what is not. And when he taught these verses, he was really summarizing a lot and really jumping through the text. So, but yeah, I think it's still worthwhile to go verse by verse and then maybe see what is relevant or how we can translate these texts or these verses to our lives. Yeah, just earlier we had a longer discussion. I don't know if you know Karl Brunhölzer. We had a Zoom call with him, and he also said, like, if one is talking about the Dharma or instructing or whatever, there's a lot of translation is necessary because nowadays the audience is very different than in Shantideva's time, for example. Shantideva was only talking to 500 monks or like aspiring scholars or already scholars in the monastery. And so the audience nowadays is totally different. So he was teaching very locally, basically, and nowadays it's much more globally, and the audience is normally very much different, like not like in Shantideva's case, everybody was a monk and a male monk, and everybody wanted to become a scholar. So therefore, of course, some of the advice they have to be translated. I mean, meaning-wise, and also that happened, like, I don't know, 1,300 years ago, and in a total different culture. So all these things need to be translated, in terms of time and culture. But of course, the wisdom behind is not, it doesn't need to be translated. So, how do we do it actually today when there are questions? I think if you have a question, just mention that in the chat. I will look in the chat from time to time. Just mention that I have a question, and then after I finished my sentence or something, then maybe I ask you to speak up, and then we can discuss if you like. Yes. Okay. So then let's start. I think as I said, we already covered the first 41 verses here of chapter 4. Yes, I think so. Yes, and now actually comes a quite practical verse, which is verse 42. Wait, I maybe sent you the verses from today here in the chat. Maybe you can open it. Oh, I have to do fire. So I just extracted some verses for today from Stephen Batchelor's translation of the Bodhicharyavatarā of the 5th chapter. Please use whatever translation you prefer, or also whatever language you prefer. But this is just what the translation that I usually use, because I think it's very straightforward and very clear and simple and correct, like 99% of the time. I know Tsongtse Khyentse Rinpoche prefers Padmakara's translation, and there's nothing. It's of course it's much more beautiful, but for me it's like high English or too high English. Okay, so here Stephen Batchelor's translation of verse 42 says, "But if I'm unable to do this when afraid or involved in celebrations, then I should relax. Likewise, it has been taught that at times of giving, one may be indifferent to certain aspects of moral discipline." So this is, I think, a relevant verse, because it's really like for beginners, like for beginner bodhisattvas. So when we are in a difficult situation, that means something that is potentially distracting. So, and how or how Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche is defining it, what I quoted, like we are potentially we're getting caught up into our thoughts. Then what to do? Then we should be mindful. And of course, those difficult situations can be very, very, could be like a scary situation, or could be like a party, or could be like an important conference, And so, and here Shantideva is advising, just relax a little bit, that is important. Bring your mind at ease, and not necessarily stick. That is what the commentators say, not necessarily stick to the practice you wanted to do, or not necessarily demand of yourself or from yourself, I don't know, to be one-pointed in your concentration. But yeah, just try to relax and at ease and comfortable, that is important in those difficult situations, but of course, don't go against your precepts. Don't go against discipline. Don't harm others. But don't be too idealistic. What you can manage in those situations. So therefore, just try to relax and spacious and be there and at ease. And yeah. And then in the commentaries, there, of course, also very life-endangering situations are mentioned. I mean, if somebody's torturing you or invading your country, and or if there are like natural catastrophes, let's say viruses also, or fire or flood, or if there during Shantideva's times, the monks, they had to walk through forests always, so there were wild animals. So all these dangerous situations, then just relax, and then another point here is in the last two lines of Stephen Batchelor's translation is, if you then do something like what is more connected to the parameter of generosity, like maybe nowadays, if you do some charity, or you're doing something that is like directly benefiting others, then actually you can put aside a little bit like minor aspects of discipline. So that is that is a little bit revolutionary to say, because usually generosity is the first parameter, and it is less important than the next parameter, which is discipline, which is less important than patience, and so on. Everything less important than wisdom. But here Shantideva is saying, yes, in case you're doing a big generous thing, then during that time you can a little bit pause your discipline, like minor versions of it. Of course, we don't start like killing people, but maybe we can we can do things like maybe in a charity you can even offer alcohol a little bit, those those things, that normally would not be allowed so much. Normally giving alcohol is not like a very good object to be given, Or what is also coming later, apparently we have to wash our hands like sequentially and not at the same time, so first we wash one hand and then the other, those kind of smaller disciplines, these we can relax in that situation if we focus on giving. Yeah, I don't know, but if you read classical texts about the paramitas, then that is like a big statement, that sometimes generosity is therefore to be practiced and discipline is to be paused. And so since that is, yes, an unusual thing to advise, Shantideva is in the next two verses then answering why he is saying so, why we should maybe give up smaller versions of our discipline in order to do a big generosity. So verse 43 is saying, I should undertake whatever deed I have intended to do and not think of doing other than it. With my mind applied to that task, I should set about for the time being to accomplish it. So here in this example of charity, if you throw this charity party, then Shantideva's advice here in the first two lines of verse 43 is to really focus on the thing that you are doing, and so one-pointedly, not thinking of anything else, wholeheartedly you focus on that thing, which is now generosity in this charity example. And so therefore you don't concentrate on something other than it. You don't concentrate on discipline in it. And that is how you should practice. Of course, this you can also apply to other things like shamatha and vipassana. Normally, vipassana is the higher practice, but sometimes shamatha practice, even though it's lower, is sometimes more important, because if you don't have this focused mind, then you can't have a mind that provides the atmosphere for deeper insight. So sometimes what we call lower practice is actually the prerequisite for the higher practice. So therefore, yes, please. And if your mind is very wild and very distracted, then if we understand the verse like that, then yes, then forget about vipassana at the moment and focus on shamatha. And so, so the point here is really focus, then whatever you do, focus on that one pointedly, and and also diligently and wholeheartedly. Sort of, that is the idea. I think that advice also actually includes then paramita 4 and 5, right? If we are doing it diligently and one-pointedly. So it's not so black and white, But anyway, so in the last two lines here, Shantideva is saying, with my mind applied to the task, I should set about for the time being to accomplish it. So first we do now this one action, this charity party, and then we do, once that is really completed, then we do the other thing. And Shantideva is saying then in verse 44, if we do it like that, by acting in this way, all will be done. So if we really practice step by step and not try to practice everything at the same time, then little by little, step by step, we bring things to perfection, and that means you will be actually able to fulfill the wishes of ourselves or others. I mean, in this charity event, we of course fulfill our wish that we throw the party properly and that many people are happy. Yeah, but that is then also already the second wish, that we want them to be happy, we want them to be benefited. So that is possible, if we really focus on the things that we are doing, without getting distracted or wanting to do other things at the same time. But by acting otherwise, neither action will be done. That is what Shantideva is saying. So if we just try to practice all together, or we try to immediately jump to the higher practices, then nothing will be really happening. Then no perfection will be brought about. And there's also a saying, that we should always keep one foot on the ground, you know, otherwise you will fall, you know, if we lift both feet. And that means here that, yes, just do one practice and then, then you can walk, you know, with one foot on the ground, but don't try to do both at the same time. Okay. And also then Shantideva here in the end of verse 44 saying, likewise, there will be no increase in the proximate disturbing conceptions that come from a lack of alertness. So if we have that lack of alertness, then of course, then we get distracted, and then negative emotions and strange tendencies will appear in our mind. But here's the opposite. We try to be very alert. We try to have this introspection. We try to have this mindfulness. And therefore, whenever we see that we are getting distracted, and every distraction could lead to either becoming a habit or becoming a negative emotion. So whenever we see we are going into the direction of distraction, you know, then we bring ourselves back, you know, to mindfulness, to awareness. And then in that mindful and aware state, then we can do the Bodhisattva practices. Yeah, so distraction is really the thing whenever we are getting entangled or caught up in our thoughts. You know, like normally one thought is not a problem. But if one thought then connects to another thought, then it can happen, you know, that a storyline can happen, you know, or then it's already, I don't know, in chemistry, you know, like if you have one atom and then the next atom, then it becomes a molecule, you know, and then everything becomes more solid, and then it leads to a chain of thoughts, you know, that is very difficult to cut, or that leads to an emotion. So therefore, Shantideva's idea is to be really very mindful and aware, and be very present, you know, in the present moment, you know, because whenever you start having a thought of the past, you know, then another thought might pair up with that thought and then creates a molecule, you know, or two thoughts, already a tiny story, and then easily a third thought comes into it, you know, and then everything becomes very solid, and you are then really caught up in that story, and you lose sort of your clarity or your awareness or your presence. That, of course, happens also in regard to future, you know, when we are worried about the future or we plan about the future, then we might have one thought first, you know, oh, I worry about tomorrow, and then maybe I nourish that thought with another similar thought, and then it becomes very solid, and then will really change our perception and will take us away from the present moment. Yeah, so that is what Shantideva wants to avoid, because since today is Buddha's birthday, you know, so because Buddha can be only found sort of in the present moment. That is the idea here, and that is the idea of every meditation. And Khyentse Rinpoche sometimes says, you know, if we say like that, you know, then people think we talk about Dzogchen, but that's not true, you know, like it's in every meditation, it is about being in the present moment. And so and that is the only time or place, you know, where Buddha can be born, you know, where Buddha wisdom can arise in the present moment. Yeah, Khyentse Rinpoche is talking a lot about that, you know, that normally we don't have confidence in our present moment mind, and therefore we think, I'm not good enough, you know, or we think, oh, I have to do something so that in the future, then when I create these conditions, then in the future I will become a Buddha, I will become enlightened, you know. So we that implies that we think we are not good enough now, you know. But the nature of our mind is good enough now. So that is what we have to realize. And so mindfulness, introspection, and everything helps us to not get distracted from this present moment's mind. Okay. If there's any question, then please unmute yourself now and just talk. If not, I will continue to talk. Oh, Pallavi, yes. Please, can you unmute yourself or I have to do it?
Yeah, so you mentioned about maintaining the present moment and not creating conditions, or not so much focus on the conditions of the future. How do you put that balance? Because for us people, we always kind of striving to create conditions for the future, and then there is a fine line between not getting caught up and also staying in the present and also bringing in all those factors in. So how do we really juggle and really bring that in?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes.
It is, because it's not easy. It's a constant dance between present moment, creating conditions, thinking about bringing in conditions and how to bring kind of develop those conditions or grow them rather. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can divide our life in cushion on time and cushion off time, you know. So if we are on the cushion, then I think that what I just said applies, you know. Then really trust that this present moment mind and the nature, especially of the present moment mind, is perfect, is the Buddha, you know. Just try to see that in this present moment mind. Nothing else to prepare, not to think about tomorrow, not to think of accumulating nonjo or something, for example. But then if you are out of the cushion or off the cushion, you know, in the post meditation, then of course we try to accumulate merit, and we try to help beings in order, sort of, we normally think, yes, in order to in the future then have the right mental atmosphere so that then we attain enlightenment. But the thing is still, of course, we can. So the thing is, we should be aware and present mentally, but of course, at the same time, with awareness of the present moment, we can still also plan stuff, you know, and but we should not get like caught up into it, you know, and lose the present moment while planning. Yeah, it's a little bit, it sounds like a dilemma, yes, and it is a little bit. But my point, or Shantideva's point, I guess, is more like really in the meditation, then really have trust, you know, that from Buddha nature point of view, everything is perfect already now, you know, so therefore no need to actually improve anything, you know, no need to create causes and conditions for future enlightenment, you know, but sort of have the confidence that this can happen in this session, you know.
Thanks.
I think Milarepa said that, you know, if we it's sort of a laziness if we think, no, if we think, oh, in this session I will not make it. So like, yeah, let's try to approach every meditation session like that. Maybe that is the one, you know. Maybe this Friday evening I can make it. Okay, now comes a long list in the next verses, like verse 45 to 58. there Shantideva is showing 27 specifically difficult situations where we could lose our discipline and do stupid stuff basically, and get entangled in negative emotions and harm others or ourselves. And so 27 situations will be explained over the next verses. And then also Shantideva is introducing 9 antidotes against them. But first he is introducing the whole thing. I think the first situation starts in verse 48, but that's not where we are yet. So 45 is saying, if I happen to be present while a senseless conversation is taking place, or if I happen to see some kind of spectacular show, I should abandon attachment towards it. Yeah, so the first 2 lines are when we look into the 10 non-virtuous actions, then there is something like gossip, don't gossip, or don't have idle conversation, which without much meaning. So that is a very, very clear advice, in the old commentaries, it's just saying, don't gossip about the king or the robbers. But nowadays, of course, we gossip about stars or politicians, or about our boss at work, our colleagues at work. Or if we are Buddhists, we gossip about our teachers or about the Sangha and so on. So just don't do that. And yes, maybe we can also take it a little bit less literal and also apply it to what we do on Facebook maybe, or other social medias, where we post useless things or negative things even, and where we waste our time or other people's time. Yeah, so wherever, don't gossip. And then that is more like an advice for the monks, the last 2 lines, if if the monks end up sort of in a spectacular show, where there's entertainment or dances and so on, like normally the monks, they're advised not to visit those shows, but in case you have to sit through them, then do that without attachment. And the idea is why we sit through them, because maybe the performer is maybe needs the money, so maybe that is a good way to give him or her some money. I mean, so that this person can survive, or it could also mean, that you just mingle with other people, or people want to perform for you, and therefore, yes, that makes them happy, so therefore you are there. So there can be different reasons, why monks, even though that is a very Mahayana thing, even though they're not supposed to go to those shows, but maybe with the right motivation from Mahayana point of view, then the monks are allowed to go there. But then the advice is really don't get attached to it, And I think that is also I don't know if it's interesting or maybe disturbing, but that's maybe also a way to watch TV, or watch movies. Because normally we like movies or football games. I think Jens Rinpoche once said, if there are emotions coming up, like in the movies or football games, but all these emotions come up, of course, because we have attachment to the story, or to, I don't know, the good actor, or maybe also the villain, or we have aversion to the villain, let's say. So so we are like emotionally drawn to that movie and the story. So that is that makes a good movie, sort of, but then it doesn't make a good meditation, because we are getting entangled and we are getting stuck there. So I think Dutram Rinpoche once said, like, when you watch TV, and like know all the time that it's an illusion, to try to remind ourselves. But then yes, then it's not so much fun also. I don't know if you try and experiment with that. Okay, and then a very easy advice, 46. If for no reason I start digging the earth, picking at the grass, or drawing patterns on the ground. So basically, Shantideva asks us to avoid meaningless actions. I don't know, but if for me, if I sit on the beach, on the sand, I start to draw something like quite soon, it's very difficult not to do it, or if you play with the grass, if you're sitting on it, then it starts, and then people pick it, or I don't know, in Germany, we drink beer and then we have, I forgot what it is, like this mat, beer mat, so the thing you put under the glass, so people play with that, or there are stickers on the beer bottle, people play with that. It's like endless. So those, it's not really harmful, but it is very meaningless and can be very destructive. So therefore, Shantideva asks us not to do that. But then by recalling the advice of the Buddhas, so you can ask, is that what I'm doing, like drawing whatever in the sand, or playing with the stickers on the bottle, is that the training that was suggested by Buddha? We can ask ourselves that, if this is the Bodhisattva conduct that we should learn. And if we recognize that maybe not, then the fourth line, then immediately we should step out of fear, And the fear comes because, out of many reasons, because maybe we understand that distractions, really entangle us more and more in samsara, or these useless things that we are doing are just wasting our precious time. Or maybe these things, they are not only useless, but maybe even a little bit negative. Maybe there are some consequences that happen from that, I don't know, if we pick grass, I guess that's also a home for some animals. So don't do those things. And Khyentse Rinpoche said here also that is especially also an advice for tulkus, because tulkus are supposed to inspire the audience, so they should really try to not do those useless activities that would discourage the audience. So that is like a small rule that the Buddha set. Of course, it's not a big rule. Like if you do it, you're not what is it, doomed or something. But it's still a small thing that one should be mindful of. So the question is he talking about fidgeting? I think so. Let me just check in the dictionary what it is. But I think yes. I think it's like that. It's like very useless behavior, right? Small things. Let me see what the German dictionary says. Oh, for those German speakers here, herumzappeln, herumfummeln, hampeln. Yeah, that is maybe also part of it, I don't know if you meant that what the German dictionary is suggesting. fidgeting here would the German dictionary here is saying it's also like you're very restless physically, you know, you're moving all the time. Exactly, shifty, restless. That is what the German dictionary is saying. That is also a part of it. Yeah, we do many movements with the body that are very like, yeah, aimless, restless, shifty, meaningless, you know, without actually harming somebody, without actually helping somebody. But still they create the pattern of not really being aware of our body and not being mindful of the movements of our body. So therefore, those should also be avoided. Yes. Yeah, I don't know if you have been there last time. I think in let me check, verse 39, we talked about a little bit the four mindfulnesses, and the mindfulness of the body is for example, to be aware of what the body is doing, you know, if I don't know how you are holding yourself, you know, how your neck is or how your hand is moving. And so there it's important just to notice it, you know, to know and to be aware of it. And normally this fidgeting, if it's a shifty, restless thing, then that is normally very much connected to unawareness. And yeah, it also is distractive to ourselves, but also, as Katja is writing, it's also distracting to others. You know, the audience becomes very nervous if you're like constantly moving your hands, you know, like a madman. Yes. So therefore, again, that is not a big rule, but it's a smaller rule that is important. But this again, maybe that is also maybe a good example of earlier, you know, that if you do a big charity, then yes, no, that was, that also that, either you do a big charity and then therefore, yes, focus on that. And if you maybe move your hands too much, then that is not a big problem in that situation. Or in the other verse, you know, when it's a difficult situation, you know, dangerous situation where Shantideva said, relax, and that is the most important thing. And then those minor rules are not important. Yeah, and then this body movement, maybe here also the fidgeting comes in next verse 47. Whenever I have the desire to move my body or say something, first of all, I should examine my mind and then with steadiness act in the proper way. Yeah, I think here it fits well, you know, here if we just do some even small movement with our body, you know, very mindlessly, or if you want to say even one syllable, you know, then it's important to pause a little bit and check our mind and our motivation. If it's sort of okay, then to do that action with our body or with our speech. And we check sort of with the advice that we heard from the teachers, if that is an action to be done or not. And if we come to the conclusion that it's something to be done, then let's do it. And of course, that might make it very like difficult, you know, to live. You know, if you have to check your mind so properly, you know, before every little thing you do during the day. So therefore, sometimes out of practical reasons, you know, then at least try to do it in the morning of each day, you know, that you look into your mind and check your mental state and check your motivation, and then upgrade your motivation and make it bigger and vaster. And try to notice, you know, whatever strange things are in our minds, you know, if there are some dodgy motivations or something like that. So it's of course good to try to to have that awareness in every moment of the day, but at least have it like in the morning, you know, try to get rid of everything that is like fishy and self-centered in your mind, and try to create bodhicitta, generate bodhicitta, and then try to live by that during the day. And then in the evening, try to check and maybe rejoice in the good things, regret in the bad things, dedicate the good things, but then let it go, you know, and sleep well, with maybe good aspiration for the next day. That is normally what we can practice in a day, but if we do something special, like a special project during the day, then of course it's that is also good to then start that project, you know, with first having the right motivation, and then secondly, trying to maintain bodhicitta while doing the project, and then in the end checking and dedicating. Okay. And then, are you ready for the 27 situations, or is there something to be discussed? Okay, then let's start. So this starts with verse 48, and the first line is the first situation, attachment. So when there is attachment in my mind, and attachment we normally have towards things or people or beings that we perceive as pleasant. I mean, here, how it is phrased here in Stephen Batchelor's is also always like whenever, if, da 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 da. So I can already give you the answer what to do then. This comes later in verse 50. At all such times I should remain like a piece of wood. So that is sort of the main answer here to all 27 situations, that with body, speech, and mind, we try to be still. You know, we keep still. We just sit, you know, we don't move with our body, we don't move with our speech, and we don't move with our mind, you know. But we try to be just stoic, or just be there and don't react. But a piece of wood here, the commentators say, is not, it doesn't have to be rigid, you know, you can still be, of course, alive and flexible, but just don't react, but stay like a piece of wood. So that is sort of the first, that should be our default reaction to those situations here. So, and as I said, the first situation here is attachment. You know, if you feel attachment to something in your life or in your day, then don't go into it, but just remain. You know, and don't get entangled. Second situation would be anger and aversion. So it reads here in verse 48. So, and whenever there is desire to be angry, I should not do anything nor say anything, but remain like a piece of wood. Oh, yeah, it's already said here, sorry. So that is always the constant advice here. And of course, anger or aversion comes, if we see something that we perceive or judge as unpleasant. So we don't respond. So whenever the small anger arises, then that is not a problem, you know, just like one thought, you know, that is not a problem. But then it's with our awareness and mindfulness, we should make sure that we don't get entangled into that one thought. We should make sure that this thought is not like a tumor, you know, that has more and more thoughts and then creates a full-grown story of full-grown emotion. So here, the advice is here. Sorry, I didn't read it. It's already here, that is the advice for all the situations, for all these 27 situations, that we remain like this piece of wood, Again, not being rigid, but just at ease, and not acting. Somebody wants to say something? No. Okay, then verse 49 starts with the third situation, distraction. Whenever I have distracted thoughts, and when our mind gets like uncontrolled, or very wild, then of course it normally expresses itself in our body or speech, that also become uncontrolled, excited. Then again, remember that, try to be stable and stoic like a piece of wood. Or if we feel the tendency, number 4 here, to verbally belittle others, it could be like with some stupid jokes, or tricking them or slandering them. Then also again, stay like a piece of wood. Just don't do it. Don't get into that wish to belittle others. Or also here in verse 5, number 5, sorry, in verse 49 is then feelings of self-importance. Somebody is quite noisy here. I think it's this. I mute somebody. No. So number 5 here is self-importance. When we feel, I'm getting proud. I feel better than the others. Or that I'm starting to boast about my qualities. Or or even that I think I'm equal to somebody who's great. That is of course also pride. And in the text I think there are like 7 types, but it doesn't matter. So whenever you feel like that, then also remain like a piece of wood. And then situation number 6 is if we feel like self-satisfaction, because we think, I'm so youthful, so beautiful, I'm coming from a good family, I'm so learned, I have so much wealth, and so on. Or situation number 7, when we want to criticize others, describe the faults of others, maybe directly to their face, or if we talk to others about it. Or if we have number 8 is pretension here. Or number 9, when we want to deceive others, cheat others, and trick others. So all these, number 9 is deceiving, in all these situations, we should, of course, remain like a piece of wood. Okay, Marina is saying, here in these situations, would you try to remind yourself to be stoic or have less attachment to the negative thought? Yeah, I think both works, We can try to just focus on the thing that we want to achieve, which is the stoicness, which is to be stoic, which is to be at ease, relaxed. So that is the first thing. We can remind ourselves like that. And on the other hand, we can also remind ourselves of the side effects of not being stoic. And then we can, of course, do something against that which would prevent us to be stoic. So in other words, we can work against our attachment to the negative thoughts. So yeah, so we can like if we approach that meditatively, then yes, if I feel whatever here, if I feel I want to deceive others, or if I feel better than others, or if I feel like belittling others, then yeah, first point I could try to focus, try to meditatively focus more on the nature of my mind, that is free from that is like that always has been free of those selfish agendas. So I can try to focus on that. That is sort of the first thing, the positive thing. So let's focus on the sky, But then on the other hand, also I see the clouds, these negative thoughts, and then I try to intentionally not focus on them and not get entangled into them. Yeah, so I would try to do both, Yes, saying yes to the sky and saying no to the clouds at the same time. Okay, then the next verse was 50, then describes 4 other situations. The first one is number 10, is like, fishing for compliments, one is eager to be praised. And one has that desire, that wish, and maybe one is just expressing one's own qualities so that others finally notice them and praise you for that. Or the opposite, number 11, we have maybe the desire to blame others. And we either do it very obviously, we say what we think about others, or we do it in a very skillful way, that people will not notice it directly, but there is a lot of criticism in it, So whenever we have these wishes or tendencies, then don't follow them, but remain like a piece of wood. Or number 12, if we want to speak harshly about others, if you want to scold others, insult others, if we want to harm others, with our words. Or number 13, if we want to cause disputes or scandals, or divisions or arguments, then also don't do that, but don't go into that tendency. Metya is saying, why can't we praise? No, here the point is we don't. I don't know. Maybe in your translation it's different. In my translation by Stephen Batchelor, it starts whenever I'm eager for praise. So it's not to praise, but for praise means like whenever I'm eager that somebody is praising me. That is the point. Whenever I'm eager, but that's what I meant, whenever I'm fishing for compliments, if I'm needy to be praised, that is the point, if I feel that I'm needy to be praised, that we should avoid. Then we should be like a piece of wood. But of course, if it's about praising qualities, it's an ego boost, yes. But if it's about praising qualities of others, then we should be the opposite of stoic, then we should be activated and praise others, yes, if they have good qualities. Of course, we should not praise somebody who's negative, if you praise a very destructive dictator, of course that we should not do. Or if you praise some stupid action of somebody, that we should not do. But if there are genuine qualities somewhere, then of course praise is great. But here, yeah, it's, as you said, it's like if it's only like a ego boosting, that we trick others to praise us, that we should avoid. Mm. Yeah, like also like I think maybe also it fits here, like being like how's it called? I don't know. Obviously humble. I don't know if that is correct, but if you demonstratively, if you really demonstrate, how humble you are, and you don't really mean it, yeah, you just want to hear the other people say, no, you are great, and so on, those things we should not do. Okay, then verse number 51. There are 5 more situations out of 27. So when, false humility, for example. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or what is humble brag or something? That's also a word nowadays, I heard. We are very, we appear very humble, but actually we only do that to brag about ourselves, Mm. What was that? Recently, on Facebook, I saw somebody. What was he saying? He said, "Here, I'm very generously giving away my XXL condoms. I don't need them at the moment." So that it was so funny, so humbly, he was trying to be generous, but of course he was implying that he needs a big size condom. So, so that kind of things, it's like false humility. Or Jack McKenzie is saying, yeah, sometimes we go down so deeply, so that we put our fat ass on a higher throne, So it looks very humble because we bow down so deeply, but actually only so that our buttock is higher, Yeah. Okay, verse 51. Yeah, when I desire material gain, whatever, wealth, clothes. Or 15, when I seek honor, when I want people to look up to me, when it's a little bit similar, I want to be praised, it's similar, I want to gain respect, or I want to gain a higher throne, Or fame is number 16 here. I don't know, maybe in your translations it's different, but it means like you want a good reputation. We want to make sure that everybody knows, how great we are. And 17, we want to have servants and attendants or entourage. Or 18, we want to be served. We want the people treat us well, I don't know, cook our food, go shopping for us, or I don't know, prepare our beds and everything, so if you have one of these 5 wishes here of verse 51, then don't, of course, don't express them, and don't get into them, so that you don't nourish those tendencies, but don't make them your character, but remain like a piece of wood. And then 3 more in verse 52. Whenever I have the wish to decrease or stop working for others. So whenever we, either maybe lose courage, or if we just are too lazy, to help others, even small things, whenever we feel that laziness or discouragement coming in, don't get into it. Of course, it's totally normal, that these things come, but just don't follow it, don't give it so much space, Or number 20, and the desire to pursue my welfare alone. So that's the same thing like 19, but just the opposite, So if I stop caring about others, but feel, I want, I don't know, I want to sit in front in the teachings, or I want, in the train, I want, people put their backpacks already on the second seat next to them so that nobody is sitting there, if you do all this. So this, don't do that. And the 21st one, if motivated by such thoughts, I wish to say something occurs. That is, if I wish to say something, this could be something, that maybe I speak in relation to stopping to work for others, maybe I, and therefore, so if I don't care anymore about the benefit or feelings of others, then maybe I say something that is harmful to them, I do something with anger or speak something with anger. Or if I want to only say something that is good for myself, So whenever we wish to say something based on these two motivations, then don't do it. Okay, Media is saying, please elaborate more on lazy types that according to Shantideva is danger. I feel tired lately. Can't really differentiate whether it's tiredness or laziness. 53. Oh, it's coming. Okay, good. Yes, but I mentioned laziness also, I think. When we maybe stop, we have maybe the tendency to stop working for others because we are lazy. But you're right, it's coming in verse 53. So if nobody has objections, then let's go to verse 53. And I thought I'm too fast, but you're faster. So 53, impatience, whenever I have impatience. So basically when we lose the parameter of patience, so there, we can look into the whole parameter of patience here, when I'm intolerant with something, with somebody else's opinion, or or if I don't know, we are not able to, how's it called usually, if we are not able to bear or stand some difficulties, for example, for the Dharma. I think in general, like many students in Australia have been tested in that, I have not been there, but I heard it was so hot there when Oti Rinpoche and Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche were doing the drop chants there. It was like 40 or 50 degrees, was really hot. So something like that, that is, a good challenge to be patient. Or also in our practice, that we are wanting immediate results, of our Dharma practice, that can be also impatience. Or also that we are not accepting the absolute truth. That could be also like a lack of patience. Yeah, so all these things. So whenever we feel those things, then yeah, don't go into that. Okay, now comes our laziness. At least Stephen Batchelor is just translating it as laziness here. That is situation number 23. And that is the opposite of the fourth parameter of diligence or enthusiasm. Yeah, so there, and since Mitya is asking, so there we usually have like 3 types of laziness, and so these 3 types could happen, and since they're the opposite of diligence or effort, that shows, if you're lazy, then basically you are not being diligent, which means, according to Shantideva, that you are not enthusiastically doing positive things. So laziness for Shantideva is having no enthusiasm to do positive things. And then the 3 types of laziness that in the text, and also in Shantideva's text, and also in Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation, these 3 lazinesses are explained. The first one is the usual one that we normally consider to be laziness, is just idleness, like not doing anything, it's like this couch potato thing. Just, yeah.
But
Just,
Arne, can I ask? Sorry,
yes?
not to do anything. Not to. Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yeah,
Because not to do anything in the Zen, in the that kind of, my friend from Tibetan clan, so called, they kind of like encouraging people not to do anything, because it seems like now I kind of like liking that, because I'm too tired. That's why not to doing anything is okay. But then now you hit my raw spot, lazy. Aha. Now, can you elaborate? Is that different, or kind of thing? Not doing anything, because they encourage that people not to do many things, even to just cutting or cleaning something. You have to just one by one, something like this. For me, it's too killing. So I cannot do that. But then, yeah, I've been in their retreat also, so that's why I kind of like, well, can you please elaborate more? Sorry.
My perspective, you are sitting next to Pallavi on the video, so Pallavi, so I'm saying the same answer. I think we have to again differentiate between meditation and post-meditation. I think in meditation, again, yes, let's not do anything. That is really true. Let's not, let's not create anything. Let's not elaborate anything, but just leave it as it is in meditation. So therefore, there I would say, yes, don't do anything.
No, I'm referring about your mentioning about number 1 type of laziness is idleness. That's why I immediately jump on that.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. But then
okay.
in post-meditation, so in normal life, I think as a bodhisattva, we are supposed to do a lot of things. We are supposed to help many beings, and we should try to improve the world or
Get
the
your ass
situation.
busy, isn't it?
Sorry?
The bodhisattva should get their ass busy.
Yes, and the Buddhas have 27 enlightened activities, so they're active. So, and for us in post meditation, yes, there we should act a lot for the benefit of others, but in meditation we should be like at ease, simple, and don't do anything, which is very difficult for us because we are so used to do so many things. But I think it's important to differentiate these 2 occasions, as bodhisattvas.
The bodhisattva should never rest. Okay, that's
No, the Bodhisattva, she should have a very rested mind, of course.
Okay.
In her
This
mind.
body and mind stuff, I kind of mess up. You know, it's kind of like, you know, affecting to one another when your mind is maybe too dumb. You know, you're in the animal realm, so that kind of alertness maybe drag you to more laziness. I can understand that, but then when your body is infecting your mind, and then when your mind is maybe sometimes also too busy, but then your mind is actually not active, so body and mind connection, I don't know, maybe, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, maybe we can also look at the focus, you know, if it's about yourself, then don't do anything with body, speech and mind. But if it's about others, then be very active, you know, for others with body,
Okay,
speech and mind.
at least that helpful a little bit. Okay, that's the cue point I need from you, Arne. Thank you. Okay.
Welcome.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry, I kind of sometimes to manipulate monopoly here. Sorry.
Okay, so that would be the first laziness that we should give up, the idleness when it comes to do positive things for others. And the second laziness is normally if you're super busy but doing useless or negative things, that is also considered to be laziness. You know, like a mass murderer would be very active but negative, so that would be a laziness in Buddhist point of view, because you're not enthusiastically doing good things, you know. And the third type of laziness is like this lack of self-confidence, you know, if we discourage ourselves. So whenever we have these three types of laziness, you know, either like couch potato or being hyperactive in useless or negative things, or if we have this inferior complex, then we should we should be remaining like a piece of wood, or we do the opposite, which is parameter number 4, which means we should be enthusiastically doing positive things. There some stuff. Pallavi was asked. Okay, I just finished verse 3, maybe. Yeah, because then we have these 27 together, and then I go to the questions. The next one here is 24. It's cowardice. Cowardice. That is actually a little bit. That answers also what I said about what Pallavi wants to know about impatience. Is cowardice means also that we don't accept, or that we are afraid of the profound truth of emptiness, you know. That is a patience we should have, you know. We should be accepting the ultimate truth, you know. We should because the opposite is if we don't accept the ultimate truth, then that would lead to because we are afraid of everything being empty, so that could mean that we grasp at something to be truly existent. For example, we grasp at the soul to be truly existent, or we grasp to the atoms to be truly existent, or we grasp to the mind to be truly existent. So that we do out of fear, because we want something to hold on to. So therefore, the opposite of fearlessness here is the lack of being a coward, or it's a patience to accept that everything is empty. That is meant here. And then shamelessness is number 25 here. Whenever so shame is a good thing in Tibetan Buddhism, because and that is only taking yourself as a witness. So if I don't know, if I stole a pizza in the supermarket, nobody is noticing it, but I notice it, you know, and then a positive mind state is then to be ashamed of my action that I was stealing the pizza. So and if we don't have that, if we have shamelessness, then that is something we should not engage in. And then 26 is the desire to talk nonsense, also very clear. Yeah, we should not do that. And number 27, if thoughts of partiality arise. Yeah, so there's also we should not get into. So that means, you know, we feel maybe arrogant or proud about, yeah, I am the best, or my family is the best, you know, or my institution is the best, or my sangha is the best, you know, or my religion is the best, you know. Whenever we have that sectarian partial attitude, you know. Of course, for you, maybe your teacher is the best. For you, maybe your religion is the best. And for you, maybe your family is also the best. But that doesn't mean it's absolutely the best. So one should have, generally, one should have impartiality, you know, and respect towards other groups, religions, sanghas, traditions, institutions, families, friends, and so on. So, and then here in 53, then yes, here it's said again, you know, then in all these moments, you know, all these times I should remain like a piece of wood, you know, mentally unshakable, you know, don't be tempted, you know, by these temptations. Okay, I think this is where we stop with the verses, and let's see what questions are there. Yeah, I think Pallavi, I answered yours, right? My understanding, impatience is intolerance, low tolerance to anything that get your nerve or not. Yes, why not? But it's even more, you know, as I tried to explain, it really means accommodating also and accepting. And it has a fearlessness in it too. Yeah. Okay, cut. Let's assume, I don't know. Okay, let's say cut. It's hard to be busy benefiting beings if we don't have proper skills. Yes, exactly. And Kanto Rinpoche is always warning us. Because, yeah, I think you wrote that when I said as bodhisattvas we should be active. Yes. Actually, Kanto Rinpoche is saying, yes, it's dangerous, you know, if we are not skillful and not wise, but we just try to be beneficial, then that can really harm others. And there's I forgot the saying in English, but it's something like, is it like the way to hell is built by good intentions or something? There's something saying like that. I think in German we have that too. So yeah, just good intentions. You mean well. That is of course good, but Trungpa Rinpoche is calling that idiot compassion. You know, if you don't have wisdom behind, and if you don't have skillful means behind. So therefore, all these three should always come together. Otherwise, even if you want to help, you know, you might create so much harm. Yes. So therefore, these three should go together. And yeah, and what I wanted to say, Kanto Rinpoche is therefore real, like saying sometimes maybe the best help how you can benefit others is by not, yeah, by what is it? By letting them alone, you know, or by also Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche said that in Bia in 2018 in the Hinamudra teachings, you know, that sometimes the best way to benefit others by isolating yourself, you know, from them, you know, and like if you go in your room and staying there for half an hour, that is such a benefit to the world, you know, who doesn't have to deal with your presence and your interference and your influence. Yes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Two people are saying that, so that must be right. That's what I meant, yes. Because Kate is saying, yes, it's hardly even to know how to benefit ourselves. Exactly. So at least, you know, if you look at Buddha's saying, you know, don't harm anyone, help everyone, tame your mind, at least the first thing, you know, don't harm anyone. That would be already a lot, you know, if we could try that. If not, yeah, then stay home and practice and tame your mind, and then we might get the skills and the sensibility and the empathy, you know, to really be helpful to help others. Yes, I think what Metya is saying about Bodhisattva, these twofold activities, you know, for oneself, keep calm, clear, idle mind. Normally we would not use it, but yes, why not?
It's just a resume from my previous. I'm
I know.
afraid the other may not go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it makes sense. It makes sense, you know, like idle is like this this piece of wood, you know, try mentally to be like that stoic, unmoving thing. But then for the sake of others, yes, we are active. Yes, I think, why not? And the result is Buddhahood, which is Dharmakaya, which is unmoving, and Rupakaya, which is only for the audience, you know. And there all the manifestations and expressions and enlightened activities are happening. Yes, I think we can say it like that. And then another thing, Code is afraid to see except the truth. Then the question is, any tips to make us brave when we caught ourselves in fear in times of seeing the truth? I think it's already good.
Very practical questions, because I've been there, but I haven't figured out how to handle it. So it's about time. So I'm seeking some highlights from you, because you usually have some points that can help me out. Can you?
I try, but I mean, I think it's good already that you feel afraid when seeing the truth.
But it doesn't solve the problem, Arne.
I know. It's only the first part of my answer.
Yeah, okay.
But it's already good, because let's say I'm studying Madhyamika and we talk a lot about emptiness, you know, and I'm not getting afraid. That means I'm only keeping it on an intellectual level, which is, it's sad, you know, that therefore I'm not afraid. So that is not good enough. But if I really start to apply it on my being, then and see that, yes, I'm not really existent how I thought to be, or my ego is not really truly existent, and then I'm getting afraid, that is already a good step in the right direction, you know. It means I really I'm really applying it to what is important to me. So therefore, first of all, I would like to praise you for your fear.
I know, but I'm seeking for the second part because I'm curious about the second part.
Yeah, so how to be more brave. But then, you know, the context I was talking about is the ultimate truth, so the emptiness, you know. So and so that is normally what people like can't accept, maybe, that everything is empty by nature. But then, yeah, try to apply.
Okay, I'm helping. My truth here is maybe always must be a definitely relative one. So, for instance, like suddenly I kind of like realize the impermanence is something that you have to face. You cannot just, you know, hiding somewhere and not facing it. So that's kind of like a clue. So this truth is maybe for the mundane one, not for the highest one. If you can, you know, kind of help me out there.
So how to be brave to accept impermanence?
For example, yeah, the truth, the seeing truth. By the time you see that, you have fear inside of you. So because this Shantideva mentioned about not to be coward, right? not to
Yeah.
be coward when, and you elaborate more in when the afraid of not when you see the truth. So I immediately connected to my previous experience, which is that is very very something, and I haven't really figured out how up until now. It's been like 2 years now, kind of.
But if, for example, impermanence is a topic, then you can see that impermanence is not only negative, it's not only bringing destruction, but it's just a change that can also bring very many positive things, and just change itself is not negative.
If my brain can connect to that data, I may be able to do that. But I'm mentioning when I really there. So because I think I have a weak spot on fear. Previously 2 sessions ago, I'm asking you also about fear. So this kind of resonant with that. So that's why I'm kind of like, what happened if? So I'm trying to build a shield for myself, so those fear doesn't really, manipulating me or controlling me, because it's the truth that I'm seeing. So I have to be rejoiced because it's the Buddha showing me to see that. But then when I have the truth, how to be not coward, like Shantideva said, I kind of like, I wish I can meet Shantideva in person. I wish I aspire to do so. I kind of big fan.
Yes. Yeah, but also if there's change, then first of all, first point, you could see that maybe it's changing also to a good thing. And second, what you can try to train in is maybe also out of your own personal experience, that change sometimes was not bad, even though it was painful in the beginning, but maybe it led to something positive. So therefore, whenever change
I
is,
cannot escape the pain.
yeah,
I cannot escape from the fear. I have just to lay myself out there and then experience it, and then I hope it will go soon. That's all.
yeah, and it of
I
course.
hate to be not in control.
Yeah, but that is also something in meditation. Maybe we can try to get used to, that we understand that is just how things are. Things change. We are just not in control. The things are unpredictable. I mean, nowadays people say that about the world now with the virus. Now everything is unpredictable, but
Very
it has always been like that. It was always unpredictable. We never know what is tomorrow, what tomorrow will happen. And
See, can you feel that now? It's kind of like creating some spark of fear now, kind of like you don't know what's going to happen next. So this kind of corona stuff is kind of like eye-opening for everybody, for the Buddha's truth, for the impermanence. But then how we mentally kind of like, at least, I don't know, I'm seeking for Shantideva. How, if Shantideva here, how he's going to face this? I kind of like looking for that.
yeah, but you can do it like the whole Madhyamika is supposed to help if you understand that things, because your fear is coming because you think something is permanent, but therefore you have to dismantle that belief, that there's anything permanent in this world. That is something to.
We don't realize that habit, isn't it? We don't realize that habit that already in cocoon ourselves, isn't it? We don't realize that. Yeah. That's why if we or understand the essenceless or meaningless of the true nature, or what in Mahayana language is said, no true, I forget now. Alex going to kill me, I forget now.
True existence?
No essence of, no essence, things are no emptiness of phenomena and emptiness of everyone, kind of, voila, I got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is I'm sorry to say that, but this is something we have to accept, that things are changing, that things will not stay the same, and because everything is compounded, because everything is interdependent, therefore things are changing all the time. But generally, I always think change is good, because by that samsara can end, So therefore, change is in the big picture, I think it's good. Otherwise, we would always be stuck in samsara. And I would always be stuck in not knowing, you know, but because even my ignorance is impermanent, therefore I can become a Buddha. So generally, I think we should praise the change, you know, even though sometimes in relative life it's painful because we lose something that we want or that we like.
Okay. I cannot escape fear, so I have to just experience it to the fullest.
No, you can. No. If you learn more to accept change, then fear is not so strong anymore.
That's kind of, I realize now, besides anger, the fear is my second enemy, biggest one. Coward. I feel offended now. Shantideva telling it as a coward.
And also what helps maybe is to remember Buddha nature, you know, that this is something that you will always have. It doesn't matter if all the worlds fall apart, you know. This is something that will not be destroyed. And also Marina is suggesting we can, of course, remember the teachings and the teacher. Yes, and that is definitely a good method also. But really, the first seal of Buddha Dharma is everything compounded is impermanent. So that was just a discovery by Buddha, and it has been like that all the time. It will be like that all the time. So then, we are trying to get in tune with that, because actually we are suffering, as you said, you know, if we want things to be permanent and then they are impermanent, then the suffering starts, you know. But if we don't have that strong clinging to permanence, then we are more easygoing. Okay, I think that's it. It was quite long today. Sorry. So thank you for also for your comments here. Don't worry.
Sorry for making everybody's kind of like waiting for my blabbering questions. Sorry. Thank you for all. Thank you for attending. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys. Please, if dedicate whatever merit came out of that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, dedicated to all sentient beings, and that everybody is free of suffering. For example, fear is a big suffering that we all have, and not knowing is also a big suffering, and jealousy and everything. So yeah, please, send happiness to everyone, and happy birthday to Buddha. And we have a precious human life because Buddha was born. And see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Arne. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Arne. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take good care. Be healthy.
Yeah.